Zombie World is one of my favorite decks to play in Master Duel, and in this video we will go over how the deck plays in depth with complementary gameplay to showcase what the Zombie World deck is capable of. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The Zombie World is a control-based deck much like Drytron, Eldritch, and Shaddoll Invoked. Control decks like to take control of the field using highly disruptive cards such as Floodgates, Hand Traps, and Negates, all while having card advantage. The Zombie World deck has a unique way of keeping their opponents in control by turning their monsters on the field and graveyard into zombies. This allows you to not only interact with your monsters, but your opponents now turn zombie monsters as well. There are various ways to play and customize your Zombie World deck, but just like any other deck, it has its core cards. Let's start with the core cards lineup. We have Zombie World, Unizombie, Necroworld Banshee, Glow Up Bloom, and Doom King Ballardrock. Since we already went over Zombie World, let's start with Unizombie. Unizombie is a level 3 Dark Tuner monster. This will be important when we discuss the combos later. Unizombie has two effects. The first effect allows you to discard a card and increase a monster's level by 1. Second effect, its most important effect, lets you send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard and increase a monster's level by 1. Zombie monsters are notorious for their graveyard synergy. Being able to use each effect once per turn allows you to send a total of 2 monsters to the graveyard, making Unizombie one of the best cards in your deck. Next, we have Necroworld Banshee. Necroworld Banshee also has two effects synergizing greatly with Unizombie. Her first effect is Zombie World in the field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, also neither player can target with card effects. Her second effect, her most important effect, is a quick effect. You can banish this card from your field or graveyard, activate one Zombie World directly from your hand or deck. Next up we have Glow Up Bloom. This card is a dark level 1 tuner monster which will come in handy in the basic combos and advanced combos section of the video. Its first effect is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. And if Zombie World is on the field, you can special summon it instead. So this will be your gateway to summoning a strong zombie boss monsters. Speaking of zombie boss monsters, here's Doom King Ballardrock, the main target of our Glow Up Bloom. During the standby phase, if a face-up card is in the field zone and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position. His other effect is once per chain when a zombie monster activates its effect, you can apply one of these effects, negate that effect, or banish one monster from the field or graveyard. And each of these effects are able to be used once per turn. Now let's get into some of the basic combos that the Zombie World deck has to offer. A combination of any card on the left can be paired with any card on the right in its corresponding row to start the combo. There are actually many more pairs that work well together, but for this portion of the video, we will focus on the basics. Now let's head into Master Duel to do the combo in real time to get a better understanding. First, we will start with Unizombie and Zombie World. Alright, so we have Zombie World in the field zone and we have Unizombie on the field. So we will activate Unizombie, send one zombie monster from our deck to the graveyard. In this case, we will be sending Plague Spreader Zombie. Plague Spreader Zombie is able to special summon itself from the graveyard by putting one card from our hand on top of the deck. In this case, we will send Called by the Grave and put it on top of our deck. And with Plague Spreader Zombie and Unizombie, we're able to special summon Crystron Halqifibrax because at least one of these monsters are a tuner. We will activate Crystron Halqifibrax's effect and special summon one Glow Up Bloom from our deck. Glow Up Bloom is a level 1 monster. We can link it off into Link Kuriboh and activate Glow Up Bloom's effect in the graveyard. We will activate Glow Up Bloom in the graveyard, special summon one Doom King Ballardrock from our deck. And because Zombie World is on the field, this is possible, otherwise we would have had to add it to our hand. Next, we will link Doom King Ballardrock and Link Kuriboh into Vampire Sucker. And since Link Kuriboh is a zombie monster under Zombie World, we're able to link into Vampire Sucker. Now we will end our turn, but on our opponent's turn, during the standby phase, we will be able to special summon Doom King Ballardrock. And since we special summoned a zombie monster from our graveyard, Vampire Sucker will activate and will let us draw one card from our deck. Now we are waiting for an opportunity to use Crystron Halqifibrax's effect to banish itself and go into Formula Synchron to draw one card, but make sure that you are not doing it on a chain and you want to be chain link 1 when using this effect. Otherwise you won't get the draw 1 with Formula Synchron by missing the timing. Right here, we're able to activate Crystron Halqifibrax's effect to special summon Formula Synchron. Formula Synchron's effect will activate, allowing us to draw one card, and since Formula Synchron is a zombie monster, this triggers Doom King's effect, where we can banish one card or negate the effect. In this case, we will banish one monster card from our opponent's side of the field. We want to get as much value from Doom King before we synchro summon it into Barone de Fleur. So we banish the monster. Now we can activate Formula Synchron and synchro summon into Barone de Fleur. Barone de Fleur is an Omni Negate, so we will be able to negate one card, any card the opponent uses, This is the end of the combo. However, Verona de Fleur can activate in the standby phase where he can special summon one monster level 9 or lower from the graveyard. We will special summon Formula Synchron, and on our standby phase, we will also special summon Doom King Balrog, letting us special summon Verona once again, every single turn. The previous combo is your go-to combo and can be achieved with the starter cards on the left with one card in its corresponding row on the right. However, with more cards we can end on a much more powerful board, which we will showcase a little bit later in the video. Next, let's get into our strengths and weaknesses. For our strengths, we are very good at disrupting our opponents while getting card advantage. Vampire Sucker and Formula Synchron allows us to get 2 draws on our opponent's turn while we have negates and banishes at our disposal. We can easily use our opponent's monsters to our advantage with cards such as Super Poly, Zombie Necronize, and Jack-O-Bolin. We are also great at swarming the field and building big boards that are tough to break. For our weaknesses, however, we lose to hand traps such as Ash, Max C, Effect Dealer, Infinite Impermanence, and others. We rely heavily on our field spell and graveyard, so if they were to banish our monsters, it makes it difficult for us to make our next move. Alright, so let's get right into the deck list. So we have Glow Up Bloom at 1, we have Plague Spreader Zombie at 1. You're only usually going to use Plague Spreader Zombie once, and that's about it. Glow Up Bloom, you can have 2. I wouldn't go to 3. But definitely you can resolve it twice. There was some times where I needed it a second time, but usually I only need it once. And I have 3 Max C, just because when we're going against high level, I'm playing in Diamond 1, so they're really going to be just special summoning a billion times, so I usually have 3 Max C. I have 3 Unizombie because he's my starter. I have 2 Ash and 1 Ghost Bell. The reason is because of space, but I do need Ghost Bell because Ghost Bell negates Called by the Grave. And when we do our combos, a lot of stuff is from the graveyard, so they usually have Called by the Grave for our Doom King or Glow Up Bloom, stuff like that. So we have this to negate that. 2 Mizuki. I usually only resolve Mizuki twice, and we also have a way to put Mizuki back in the grave, so I don't think we need more than 2. We have 3 Shiranui Solitaire because it gets straight to Unizombie, and we need as much cards that put stuff in the graveyard. So he's the best way to summon out Unizombie if we don't have any other card. We have Gozuki. He also puts stuff in the grave. He's like a little bit worse version of Unizombie, but he also does in the main phase put a zombie in the grave and has an additional effect where if he's sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other zombie from the graveyard and special summon a zombie from your hand, which is really good, and it comes in handy sometimes. I have 1 Necroworld Banshee. You can put this to 2. I wouldn't put it to 3. But I have it at 1 because of space. Again, we have a couple cards that puts banished cards back in the grave. We have 1 Jack-O-Bolin. He's really good at stealing your opponent's monsters from their graveyard, and as soon as they're gone from your field, they get banished. Doom King is our main monster. You can have him at 2. I just have him at 1. I might put him to 2. Usually that's what people do. But he's like our main monster, and we do have ways to get him back, but we have a lot of extra deck monsters as well, so I just put him at 1 for space. We have Harpy's Feather Duster for back row. We don't have much back row removal, so I have Harpy's Feather Duster, the best back row removal. We do have a couple other cards in our extra deck that can remove back row as well. Next we have Monster Reborn for extra extending. We have Foolish Burial for extra stuff putting in the graveyard. It's kind of like another Unizombie, but a little bit worse. We have 2 World Legacy Succession. So this really helps us when we're trying to link up into higher monsters, or if we need an extra monster to synchro summon into something else. It really helps a lot. We have 2 Pot of Prosperity to get the cards that we need. 3 Zombie World. The reason why we have 3 Zombie World, I don't know why people run 2. I think maybe their logic is we only resolve 2 Zombie World, so I only need 2 in my deck. But with 3, the chances of drawing Zombie World are much higher, so it's not always about how many copies you need, it's about how often you need them. So if you have 3 copies in your deck, there's actually a much better chance of drawing it than having 2. We have Burial from a Different Dimension. This puts 3 banished monsters, returns them to the graveyard. So this is really good for things like Mizuki, things like Necroworld Banshee. If they banish one of our boss monsters, we can put him back in the grave. We have 2 Super Poly. So I use Dragon Necro Another Soul Zombie and Starving Venom Fusion. A lot of people run Dark, as well as we're gonna make everyone into a zombie, so he's really good. Next we have Called by the Graves. These Called by the Graves and Crossouts are basically for when we summon Unizombie, we want to see this in our hand. Either we want to see Ash, just in case, we want to see Called by the Graves, we want to see Crossouts. just so people can't stop our combo. And Forbidden Droplet is for going second, and if they draw really good, we can discard a couple zombies, and some zombies really want to be in the graveyard, so that's good, and it stops the opponent. Okay, so for our extra deck, we have Dragon Necro, another Soul Dragon. Again, this is a super poly target. Starving Gun Infusion, another super poly target. This is Formula Synchron, you guys saw in the combo video. He's really useful to get out Baron. We have Psyframe Lord Omega. Warlord, same thing. It's 4 and 4. I have Ravenous, Virtual QB Shisen, and the King of All Calamities. I'm still testing this stuff out because I think there is a way to get these. I'm still testing, but there is a way to get True King of All Calamities somehow. I did get one level 9 and almost another level 9, but it was really close, but I couldn't quite get the levels correct. So I'm gonna start like do more experimenting with that. Barone, you guys saw in the video. Link Karibo is necessary for Glow Up Bloom. He's literally the start of all your combos. Christian Hulk Fibrax. We got Vampire Sucker, which is really good. She helps you draw cards, gives you advantage. IP Masquerena is for our Underworld Goddess. So we go into IP and we wait, and if they do something, we just go into Goddess, and she becomes indestructible by card effects, and also cards that don't target her, she's unaffected. And she also negates stuff from the grave, so that's pretty good. And then we have Access Code Talker. So this is my deck. I'm going to be talking about, I'll show you guys what cards you can swap out with and test out with, so I'm going to go there right away. Alright, so here's some cards that you can swap out with. So there's some people run the Danger engine with Danger, Tsuchinoko, Jackalope, and Nessie, and it helps us discard cards to the grave, like certain cards, but it doesn't always discard the one that you want, which I think a deck should be as most consistent as possible in my opinion, so I don't run these Dangers, but you can if you want. And there's Zombie for all lane. She's like a hand trap where she goes in the battle phase and she boosts your attack of one monster. Eldritch version is also good. I'm testing it out with a little bit too. Eldritch version is very good because with Sanguine or any of the other reviving cards, if Eldritch is on the field, you can revive or bring any zombie. So you can bring your Doom King right away, or you can bring Jacobolin or whatever you want. So Eldritch version is pretty good too. Instant Fusion and Ready Fusion. So with these, you'll be targeting your Sea Monster of Thesis. It's a level 5, and it's a normal monster, so you can use Ready Fusion or Instant Fusion, and you can always use the Millennium Eyes Restrict as well. That's usually the target to go to with this card, but you can also go into Sea Monster Thesis for more extending. We have Dark World Dealings. Each player draws one card, each player discards one card. I don't run this because I don't want my opponent drawing a card. Zombie Necronize is really good if a level 5 or higher zombie monster is on the field. So if you have Zombie World, if an opponent controls a level 5 or higher zombie monster, you can just straight up take it until the end phase and then like link it off or like synchro summon with it. But yeah, this is really good. And actually at the end of the phase, if you have a banished card in your graveyard, one of your banished zombie monsters, you can actually set this back in on your field. So you can use it twice, but then it gets banished. We have Elixir Black Awakening, Special Summons. We already talked about Ready Fusion. We have Cursed Eldland for the Eldritch version. Twin Twisters is good for discarding a card and destroying 2 spell and trap cards on the field, because zombie decks usually don't have a way to remove back row so easily. So Twin Twisters is a good option to discard a card. So you plus and then you destroy 2. We have another Elixir card. We have Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Discards a card, target a card your opponent controls, place it on top of your deck. So this is good because it has the discard that you want, and you can place a card back on their deck so they have to draw it again. This card is actually really good as well. Tribute 1 zombie monster, target 2 cards on the field, destroy them. Then banish 1 Shidone monster from your deck. So this is basically the Blackout of zombies. If you guys don't know what Blackout is, it's the Sword Soul card that tributes 1 worm monster and then destroys 2 cards on the field. So this is like the zombie version. We have Elixir Sanguine, this is good. We have Ice Dragon Prison, which since everything is going to be a zombie under Zombie World, you can just target any monster in your opponent's graveyard and then bring it back to your field and then banish both cards. We have another Eldritch card, Golden Land Forever. Rivalry of Warlords is really good since everyone's going to be a zombie. They can't special summon anything from their deck or their hand that's not a zombie, but since the graveyard is zombie, they'll be able to do that. We have more Eldritch cards, and yeah, so there's other cards as well, but these are some of the cards that you can swap out your deck with to test it out. And then we talked about Sea Monster Thesis, we have Eldritch the Mad Golden Lord, we have some links that I don't have yet, but I should, is Nightmare Phoenix, Unicorn, and Apollosa. But yes, so right now, oh, and we can possibly run Dagda as well. The Dag does good with the Scythe. We can try Dag and Scythe. I haven't tried it yet, but I'll probably give that a try. See what happens. And so our deck list is done, and we have most of our side cards that you can swap out with to test stuff out. And let's go ahead into the advanced combos. This is what I did in Diamond 1 ranked matches. Yeah, let's go take a look. Now it's my turn. So we have Doom King for the standby phase. And we also have Mizuki. So we can Mizuki the Unizombie and start doing our combos there. And we can banish him along the way. So this is where stuff starts getting a little crazy. Go into Crystron, I bring out Bloom. That's where that card comes in handy. The reason is because I want to get as much value out of Mizuki as possible before he starts getting banished. So we go into IP, we special summon Bloom again, we go into Link, Karibo. Alright, so now we're locked into zombies. Bolin, and we just attack. So for next turn, Doom King comes back, and Crystron can go into Formula Synchron. So you guys know what that means. The Doom King coming back. We have a lot of cards on our field, and we also have Underworld Goddess if he tries anything. So okay, he's a level 8, but Crystron can actually capitalize on that. We got Formula Synchron. And we special summon Doom King just so we can negate his Luna, because we know right now he can't special summon a Kaiju on our side of the field, and when he goes to Luna he's going to bring the Kaiju back in his hand and then tribute out again. So we're going to use Doom King to negate that, and we also have the Formula Synchron into Gamma Steel that goes into Baron play as well. So Bigfoot, but we negate it with Doom King because he turned into a zombie. And he quits. Alright, so we have a decent hand. It's not too bad, but it's not too good. But we do have a Zombie World and Unizombie, which is what we need. And luckily, he did not have anything. So we do the Plague Spreader combo, get out Crystron, bring out our Bloom, just some standard stuff I showed you in the basic video. Doom King into Vampire Sucker. And we can set Polly and pass, and also we're going to be drawing a card because of Vampire Sucker, so Super Polly is actually live. And if he got called by the grave, we also have the Crystron to go into Formula Synchron to draw a card as well. So that's 2 cards right there. And right here, the reason I pulled the trigger in the Synchro Summon was because it said the opponent's about to end their main phase. Which means that if they have nothing in their field zone and the spell and trap zone, they have evenly matched like 99% of the time. So basically I wanted to be able to negate that, so I just instantly went into Baron. So he has draw 2, I drew Ash because of that. And he is evenly matched, and we negate that. He is Kyoto Waterfront, weird. Alright, next turn, we got Doom King coming back. Verona used negate, so keep that in mind. We draw a card, Verona activates, special summon Unizombie. Unizombie activates, sending Mizuki to grave, Mizuki special summoning our Formula Synchron, so that makes Verona live again right here. And we can destroy a card, and if it activates, we can negate it. Destroy, okay. He is Guardian of the Golden Land, and he also has Conquist Elixir of the Scarlet Sanguine. So we can negate the Sanguine, which is really good. Gozuki sends another Mizuki to grave. We link these two into Psy-Frame. And we go attack. Vampire Sucker. Doom King comes back on his turn. And then Formula Synchron can come back again during the standby phase. Oh yeah, I put Gloom back in my grave. I can go back into Formula Synchron, and then I can repeat the Baron. See how I can just keep cycling Baron every time? It's crazy. And then he draws a Kaiju, so I was like, okay, it doesn't matter what you tribute, but I'm going to try and snap it out of your hand. So I activate Omega. I missed, but it's okay. Ends this turn, he has nothing he can do. He sets a Sanguine. And I should have went into Barone instantly, but I didn't know he'd end it really quick. So he's going to be able to destroy one monster. He knows Doom comes back every turn, and Formula Synchron looks like a weak little monster. So that's why he targeted Vampire Sucker. I super poly these two. They're zombies anyway, but what the hell. And Gozuki activates, banishing Ash to special summon Gozuki. I can banish his Eldritch with this by chaining. And I have all this. So I can go into Barone, I can do lots of things right here. Send Banshee just for the zombie world. But yeah. So you can be really creative with the zombie world deck. It doesn't always have to be really linear like you might think it is. You can be really creative like here. So alright guys, for those of you still watching, I really appreciate you guys. That about does it for the Zombie World Guide. There's a lot more info that I could have covered, but this video would be way too long for that. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, let me know in the comments. If there were some things you would like me to fix as well, I'm open to criticism. Peace!